So good, so good, so good.
New markdowns up to 70% off are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. And that means so many new reasons to rack.
Because I always find something amazing.
Just so many good brands.
Because there's always something new.
Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
Picture this. A curve in the road. A change in plans. Well, what do you say? With the all-new Audi Q3, the answer's always yes. Yes to adventure. Yes to escape. Yes to performance. Yes to comfort. Yes to right now. Because saying yes without hesitation, that's real luxury. The all-new Audi Q3, made for the yes life.
Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's Bullspend, and marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had, impressions.
Cut the Bullspend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
You know you need fiber for a healthy gut, but do you actually know how to get it? Quaker's been serving up fiber since 1877, with over 100 great-tasting, good source of fiber options to choose from. Whether you like old-fashioned oats, instant oatmeal, granola, or oatmeal squares, Quaker makes it delicious. So good. Get your fiber with Quaker. Shop Quaker's good source of fiber products at a store near you.
So you're saying with Hilton Honors, I can use points for a free night stay anywhere?
Anywhere.
What about fancy places like the Canopy in Paris?
Yeah, Hilton Honors, baby.
Or relaxing sanctuaries like the Conrad in Tulum?
Hilton Honors, baby.
Ooh, what about the 5-star Waldorf Astoria in the Maldives?
Are you gonna do this for all 9,000 properties?
When you want points that can take you anywhere, anytime, it matters where you stay. Hilton, for the stay. Book your spring break now.
Hello and welcome to Islanders Anxiety from Lighthouse Hockey and Fans First Sports Network. My name is Dan Saracini. Joining me on this Sunday evening by Zencaster is my friend Michael Leboff. And Mike, the Islander season is over. It's been over for quite some time. It was over when we spoke last time. And there was still one more game that we're actually going to talk about today, is one final kick in the groin that we all needed, I guess. But there have been exit interviews quite kind of abruptly, I thought, after the season, although that was a common complaint I read from other people as well. And we can all sail into the off season. Although I got to tell you, and I said this on Blue Sky, this season really left kind of a bad taste in my mouth. Like, we've seen a lot of stuff, we've seen a lot of bad Islanders games and bad seasons, but something about this season really set me off. And I think it was captured by one of our patrons in our Patreon chat, AJ, who said, this was a horrible season because of how good it was, if that makes sense. And I know it made sense to me, and I feel like it makes sense to you too. Like, it was a good season that ended up being a horrible one.
Exactly. I think that's a perfect way to put it. And I was going to bring up how at the end of that Carolina game, I didn't really watch any of it, but I saw the clip of Cal Clutterbuck and Thomas Hickey talking about how this season will be looked back on fondly. Like, it's a magic. I think Thomas Hickey used the word magical.
Yeah.
And Cal Clutterbuck said if you said in September the Islanders would be in it until like the third to last game of the season, you probably would have taken that and all that. And I think that's exactly what AJ was getting at too, which is Yeah, it was a storybook season that ended in a nightmare, which is not how it's supposed to go.
Right.
Like there's a bunch of storybook seasons still continuing right now. Like I thought you were going to also bring up that another thing that captured how the bad taste and why you have that bad taste in your mouth is, I don't know how much of that Flyers-Penguins game you watched last night. I watched about 4 minutes of it, and then I was like, I can't watch any more of this because the Islanders are better than these teams. Like they are better than both of these teams, and these two teams are playing in the playoffs, and they're on like Hockey Night in Canada. Everyone's so excited. Pennsylvania, Sid, whole thing, and I'm like, the Islanders could have had the Hockey Night in Canada billing for Game 1, Sid versus Schaefer situation, and they blew it, and they blew. This is also the season of hype videos, which are making me really jealous, right? I mean, the Sabres had a really good one with Better Days, which was their playoff anthem 15 years ago, last time they got in. And the Islanders would have had an unbelievable hype video, an unbelievable like season montage to show before Game 3 when the team was taking the ice, all the fun moments that transpired throughout the season. But they all just went poof because they blew it. Yeah. And I think that's very well captured by what AJ said. I think it was very well captured by what a lot of people were saying, the same thing as I was about that Flyers-Penguins game, which is this season was we got fooled into thinking we were a team of destiny, or maybe we were a team of destiny and we just the Islanders just didn't recognize it or something. I don't know how it is. But I think the more and more we look back on it, the more and more we'll be like, I still am having complicated, complex feelings about this season.
Yeah.
Which sucks because, as AJ said, it was going so well. It was going superbly well. And then it just got ripped apart. So
yeah. As soon as I saw that, and he was like, if that makes sense, I was like, dude, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's the perfect way to encapsulate what we just watched. And I did, in fact, watch a lot of that, most of that Flyers-Penguins game. And the thing that got me was, it was the third period. I believe, Philly won that 3-2, right? And then the Penguins, they were up 3-1.
Yeah.
And the Penguins scored late. There were not a lot of shots in that game. I think the Penguins might have had like 20 shots, and the Flyers might have had 15 or 16. There was not a lot of shots in that game. And all I could think of was the Islanders spent all season refusing as a team to play any kind of defense whatsoever. Like whether it was in their zone, the neutral zone was not kind to them as well. They just let the other teams just tee off on Ilya Sorokin. And somehow for 75% of the season, it actually worked. He stopped everything he saw. But I'm watching these two teams play, and you're right. I'm looking at them, and I'm like, there's not a ton of approachable difference between these guys' rosters and the Islanders' rosters. Like, yeah, Erik Karlsson's had a great season for the Penguins, and Travis Sanheim's had a great season for the Flyers. Matthew Schaefer plays for the Islanders, right? Like, he's that guy. Like, you could find these equivalent guys. Like, Sean Couturier is still playing for the Flyers. Well, the Islanders still have J.G. Pageau, and obviously, like, I'm not going to compare Bo Horvat to Sidney Crosby or what, because I mean, there's a lot going on there, but still, that's the number one center for each team. And like on the ice, Bo is pretty good. I mean, is he Sid good? Well, maybe not, but he's really damn good. And like, you can go through the lineups and be like, yeah, this guy works with this and this guy works with that. And sure, they're pretty comparable. I mean, even if there are differences, they're not like a huge gulf of difference or anything in between these rosters. But two teams focused on limiting chances against, which is kind of the entire thing in the playoffs. And one team did not. And that's the team that is sat home. And Mike Rupp brought this up on the Tri-State Hockey podcast from right after the Islanders were eliminated. He's a guy who played for the Rangers, played for the Devils, was drafted by the Islanders. There's a little bit of a connection there. Maybe we'll get to hear him talk on a Weird Islanders episode one day. But like, he brought up a good point that I hadn't thought of it that way. He's like, you let the Flyers take that spot. Think about that for a second. Like, you let the Islanders let the Flyers come from the depths of nowhere to take that spot. Why? How? Because they just didn't give up that many goals. And the Islanders just kept doing it and then not scoring. And now they're outside. And that's what got me mad. was I was just like, this is how it is. A playoff game is played. Was it the most exciting game? Not really. It was nice. There was some spiciness. There was a lot of scrums and stuff like that. So it was a playoff game. But at the same time, I'm just like, these two middling teams, the Islanders couldn't beat them out for a playoff spot. Come on. Why? Because it's just how they played. And that's particularly in that game.
And you know what's crazy is the Islanders played 2 very playoff style games against the Blue Jackets and Stars, and they won them both. And then they were like,
that's enough.
Yeah, right. Small sample size. But so that's what it is, right? Like it's really, it's not fun watching these other teams. Like you see the stuff with the Sabres, and I know there's a completely different situation going on there, right? Like good for the Sabres fans, 15 years, like those fans deserve the feeling that they're having, that they had tonight,
right,
all day today. And but I'm very jealous of those fan bases. Like they're the playoffs, being involved in the playoffs wraps you up. Like it just wraps you up, and it takes over your whole life, and there's really nothing like it, especially when you're a team like the Islanders. One of these like the Sabres are certainly one. I guess the Flyers this year too. Like just these kind of underdoggy teams that thrive with and fan bases that thrives with a chip on your shoulder. It's like this very communal, uniting feeling.
Yeah. And
this is 2 years in a row where we're outside, on the outside, sitting in. It's 3 since 21. So it's what, 3 out of 6 that the Islanders have, 3 out of 5, whatever it is.
It's 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5 that they're now on the outsiders with a lot of the same guys, or a good chunk of them, and it's not fun. Like it's really not fun. That I think it was today was the anniversary of the Islanders Capitals game 3, when Nikolai Kulemin and Ryan Stromer on the ice for a game winner, with some other guy scored it, but those 2 guys were on the ice too. And it was like 15 seconds into overtime, and like I just remember that team had so much spunk and so much enthusiasm and joy around it, and it never had to be manufactured. And the same goes for like the 18-19 team, and then the 21 playoff run team too. Like there was never any, like it didn't have to be spoken that the belief never runs out, or that we want to make our fans proud, anything like that, right? It was like we're just we're just like the Islanders. We're gonna show up, we're gonna do our job, and hopefully we win. And it didn't feel like it had to be manufactured. Like it wasn't Nikolai Kulemin and Mikhail Gabrowski needed to be convinced by whoever in the locker room that they were good enough to win. But it kind of dawned on me now that this team feels like it's been trying to convince itself that they can do this. Like, and because you hear all this, they hear them after, and we'll talk about like the locker room stuff, and even the broadcast to some extent. It felt like everybody was like trying to convince one another, be like, no, we can still do this. I'm like, you don't need these. Do you think Nikita Kucherov and like Brayden Point are like saying to one another, we're going to be a really resilient group, there's a lot of belief in this room? No, they're just like, they lost tonight to the Montreal Canadiens. They're just going to go home and try again the next day and be who they are. Like so that was sticking out to me a bit too this week. Like, I feel like there's watching all these other fan bases and teams like get pumped up. I'm like, the Islanders had to like pump themselves up. They had to, and then no wonder they would always come out flat because for these big moments, because it wasn't like a genuine organic thing that they were getting G'd up for. It was hoorah, hoorah in the room, and then they'd lay an egg, and then they'd be like, well, hoorah, hoorah in the room afterwards. It was it's very peculiar.
Yeah, and I think there might be a couple of reasons for that. One might have been the lack of definable structure. At least from outside, they didn't seem to have a definable structure. I'm sure they had one that they worked on, but you couldn't tell from where we were sitting. One might have just been in terms of speed. I'm watching the Bruins Sabres, and the teams are fast. Like, they're fast out there. The Islanders couldn't really get up that kind of speed. Half the team is pretty slow, and they're on the other side of 30, and they're not as quick of foot as they used to be. Although that doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad playoff team. I mean, the Kings aren't the fastest team in the league either, and they put up a pretty good fight against the Avalanche today until the Avs finally took it over. But what you're saying strikes me as well, because I was thinking about this too. Art Staple, by the way, our friend, also said on that same episode of Tri-State Hockey Podcast, which if you haven't listened, you should go back and listen to it. He said something that I hadn't thought of either, which is exactly what you just said. If in a span of 5 years, you have made the playoffs twice, only twice, you've missed the playoffs 3 times, you've made the playoffs twice, and then you've barely played over the minimum amount of games in those 2 playoff runs, you're a bad team. Like I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember exactly what Art said, but like, that's the thing. If 5 years you missed the playoffs 3 times, you're a bad team. Like, there's no way around this. But, and this is the thing, a lot of Islanders fans are like, oh, well, there was no expectations this year, so it's okay that they missed the playoffs. It's not that big a deal. That might be fine for you. Again, for me, I didn't see a team that had a ton of structure, but I'm sure the team had something. For you, there might not have been a ton of expectations, but I promise you this, and this gets to what you were just saying. I promise you that every single member of that Islanders team thought they were a playoff team, if not a cup contending team. And they went into every game thinking that they could win the cup, but as soon as the other team got the first shot on net, they were done. Like at that point, it was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like that's the way it looked from our side. Now I don't want to lapse into Rick Bowness territory here. Like, these guys don't care. Like, I don't want to get into that because I don't know, but I'm just telling you, like, you're right. There were times, a lot of times in shockingly big spots where they would come out flat. I mean, that whole week where they gave up the first 2 goals in every game for like, 4 or 5 straight games? And like, they came back and won a bunch of them, which was exciting, but they lost. They started losing them too, starting with the LA game, and so you can't do that. You can't just come out and like spot your opponent 2 goals and then hope that you can just come back and win. Like, it was very weird, but I'm pretty sure that like they believed it, but something just happened along the way where this never materialized, where they could get there. And that's what's funny about watching the Sabres too. Like, somebody's going to write a book on this team at some point where they fire a general manager and all of a sudden the team's like, no, we're not doing this anymore. We're going to play fast and aggressive, and we're going to be a playoff team for the first time in a decade and a half. How did that happen? I don't know, but didn't happen to the Islanders. Didn't seem to bother them. I mean, I know it's not been 14 years, but like there was not an ounce of that with the Islanders where they wanted to take that extra step. They was like, no, this step is fine. And then they're like, I don't know what happened. It just got away from us. Yeah, I mean, did it though? Did it get away from you, or did you just never have it? I don't know. Like you said, I mean, this is the way my brain has sounded for the last week. Like, what happened? Like, they were in second place in the division at the Olympic break. Mm-hmm. And then 24 games later, they're not even in the playoffs.
They were in first in the East when we left the game we went to together against the Lightning, right? They were in first.
Yeah, right.
That was like mid-December. So we're getting towards the if you're in the playoffs by Thanksgiving, you're 75%. If you're first place in the Eastern Conference by mid-December, you're probably like 90% to make the playoffs. And that I remember leaving that game, and we went. My family had our just like an annual holiday dinner thing, and just sitting there being like, this team can go on a run. Like, they look at how this conference is setting up. I mean, we recognized it, and Islander fans recognized it so early about how the season was going to play out. To go from that to this it's exhausting. It is. It's like it's an exhausting kind of just like jump rope that you got to do. And there was Rat Martin at Skates of the Stakes was making this joke to me too about how, and it's a joke we've brought up so many times on the show, when the Islanders lost that first series to Carolina, and they were playing really well in Game 6, and then they took a 1-0 lead on a goal by Cal Clutterbuck, and then midway through like the second period, they kind of just stopped playing, and like the Hurricanes just took it over. And Lou Lamoriello, for like, they were like, is Lane Lambert coming back? He's like, I need to find out what happened in Game 6 against Carolina first. And for like the rest of the summer, like we were just like, did he ever find out what happened?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you now, like, I don't know. Lou has just like some very strange superpowers. Like it is kind of the moment of this team where I'm like, they kind of just lost their fastball. Arguably, they probably lost it before that. But they made the playoffs that year. They get in. They're kind of hanging tough with Carolina, and it goes away. And that game reminds me of this season, except extrapolated out. Like they played really well. Crowds behind them. They're throwing bodies into everything. And just as that game went on, they were just like, I don't know if this is for me anymore. Like it's just very. It was rattling around in my head, and just so like going from that once again, like, and that's in a much shorter time span, obviously, but going from that and watching like Zach Parisi ferret pucks out of the corner, and the fourth line just banging into everybody, and thinking, wow, they're gonna win this game, and it's Game 7 in Carolina, who knows? And going from that to then watching them just completely wilt felt a lot like this team. Like, yep, there they are. They feel like an 18-wheeler again, and just not even one by one. Like 16 of the 18 wheels came off the 18-wheeler so quickly and without any, like, yeah, I guess there was warning because the team was getting by on goaltending and Schaefer and Horvat and 10-0 in overtime, but it just all fell apart. All the wheels came off the 18-wheeler so abruptly that it's like it's really going to be hard to recover from. I keep thinking about this. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to be. Let's say the Islanders start. We've been begging for them to start well, right? Like if they win 7 of their first 8 games next season, I'm telling you, and it's going to suck to say it, and I'm sure I'll hear it, about it. Be like, yeah, 7-1. But remember last year when they were in first, they were up 3-1 on the Penguins, and like that's not fun. Like that's not. No. It's not fun to think about it already. And I know I said this last week too. Like but like that's what you're talking about, stuff rattling around in your head, and the bad taste in your mouth. Like this is what this kind of season does to the fans. Yeah. So imagine what it does to the players. Like
right.
Like how do you come back next year and not be doubting whether or not this group, whatever group comes back, still has it, and so it's tough, and we'll get into it, I'm sure, later and throughout the summer, but there's certainly a lot of reasons to be optimistic about this team. And someone put it perfectly a few weeks ago to me, my friend Brian, that this is probably the worst that Matthew Schaefer's gonna be in his entire career. Like that's, and they it'll dawn on us that Pete DeBoer is here, and he's his pedigree, and who knows, this we can talk about Eklund in a little bit, and like the promise that they have coming through to the ranks. But right now it's really hard to for me at least to see that, because I'm still, I don't even know if it's grieving or what. Like I'm still really agitated by the way the season ended, because I feel like we were all robbed of something.
Yeah.
We were robbed of like a lot of fun, and that really and there were no like outside forces to blame. There was no wonky goaltender interference against Kyle Palmieri. There's no shot around the end boards that hit off a stanchion in Carolina to like end a series, or a high stick on Scott Mayfield's beak and they score on the same play. Like there was none of that, right? Yeah. There was no outside forces here. The Islanders did this to themselves, and they did it to us, and that's why it's hard to, like, at this very moment be like, yeah, but next season Schaefer again, year 2 of Schaefer, perhaps Eklund, like DeBoer. I'll get to that, but for now it's hard.
No, this is I don't know, it's been very hard to kind of wrap my head around this for all those reasons that you just mentioned, and like I worry about next year too. Like, what's the team going to look like? I mean, it certainly doesn't look like they have a ton of wiggle room, although if you look at Puckpedia, there are a lot of partial no move clauses coming into play soon, which gives Matthew Darche some wiggle room. I do want to talk about Darche's post-game press conference in a little bit too. But you do wonder, like, what these guys are feeling. And my thoughts were so jumbled, and I had to get stuff out. So I ended up writing a post over at the Patreon. Sign up today, patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety for written posts just like this one, plus bonus episodes, chats with us, the whole thing. You know the deal. And I called it Impertinent Thoughts on the Islanders. I might do some more later as the summer goes on and in the future. But one of the things that I wrote about was that, in the 2021 season, the 2020-2021 season, the Islanders made it all the way to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And then from that point out, were a trendy Stanley Cup champion pick going into the next season. They signed Zdeno Chara. They signed Zach Parise. We thought that was the team of destiny. They finally got Zach Parise. Maybe it was just you and I don't know. But that felt like the team of destiny. And then that season started with a 13-game road trip because UBS Arena was not open. They went 0-7 in their first bunch of games at UBS. Half the team had COVID at different points in the season. A bunch of dudes got hurt. Ryan Pulock was the first one, and then there's a bunch of guys after that. I think Barzell also might have been. I think that might have been the season he got left in Michigan or something. I don't remember what it was. And by the end of that season, they were just out of gas. They just wanted to get it over with. Of course, Barry Trotz was fired after the season was over, just because he was also out of gas, wanted to get into management at some point. To me, and again, maybe I'm off base, I don't know, but I think that was something got broken in that season. Before that, this team fought like tooth and nail to get into the playoffs, and then fought tooth and nail in the playoffs. That half season, they fought and they scratched their way in there. And then when they got there, they did not stop and they just got better and better. The COVID season, they were running, they were absolutely falling apart when the world stopped. They came back in September in the bubble with a renewed vigor, and they just, again, ran all the way to the semifinals at that point. But that season to me was the breaking season. Then they bring in Lane Lambert, didn't get any results. They bring in Patrick Waugh. Everybody's excited. Really didn't get any results. To me, those were just the two wrong coaches at the wrong time. Basically, a lot of the roster is still here. They got older. They weren't replaced. I'm pretty sure they all wanted to stay, and some bunch of them got signed to long-term contracts. And to me, that's the breaking point. Was the 21-22 season. Something in that season got busted, and they just didn't want to return to the team that they were before, and they still don't. And that was 5 years ago. 5 years ago. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what the team is going to look like going forward. It's demoralizing. It's depressing. Matthew Schaefer is great. I think, he's going to be the best player going forward for this team for a long time, but I don't want him to be the best player on a bad team. I want him. When we saw him doing his things, we're like, this is the guy. This is our Cale Makar. They got to build around him, and they have not, at least not yet anyway. So, but I do want to talk about the Bridgeport guys in a little bit, very, very quickly. Enough kind of, we've done 25 minutes now of kind of, word association and whatever, free association and gobbledygook. But let's just talk about the final game real quick, just so we get it on record. It was a 2-1 loss to Carolina, which, probably is how the playoffs would have went anyway. If you think about it, it was not a great game. It was not a fun game. It was 1-0 Carolina when Bo Horvat scored on a delayed penalty, his 300th career goal. It was the first point for Victor Eklund, who had come up from Bridgeport. Bo said he was going to give him the puck rather than keep it. He'll keep the 400th one, he said later on. And it was, that was the best moment. Later on that period, they couldn't clear. Pass goes to Mark Jankowski, who I can't believe is still in the league. He scores, makes it 2-1 Carolina. That was about it. There was really nothing much else going on. David Riddick started, of course, because at that point, why not? Made 19 saves. He was fine, I guess. I mean, he only let in 2 goals. Neither one was great. Brandon Bussey was even better. He made 27 saves. What was interesting to me, and again, I wrote about this over at the Patreon, is 2 things. One, clearly the team wanted Matthew Schaefer to get his 24th goal of the season, to break the tie with Brian Leetch and set a new record for rookie defenseman. He did not get that. Why didn't he get that, despite a myriad of chances? Well, because the Hurricanes blocked everything they saw. Because the Hurricanes, as much as we may hate them, they think like winners. Okay? They think like winners. And somebody else's record isn't their problem. They are not out here to let this kid put them on a video that's going to run for the rest of his life. Contrast that to the Islanders, who let Alex Ovechkin, Austin Matthews, John fucking Tavares, all these guys set all these records because why not? Sure. Okay. Yeah, go for it, man. The Hurricanes aren't on that plan. They weren't going to do that. They blocked everything, and Schaefer finished with a very incredible 23 goals that ties a record, but didn't break a record. The other thing about Schaefer is the game is over. The team is, getting at center ice, they're lifting their sticks, they're saluting the fans. And what are the fans doing? They're chanting Matthew Schaefer. They're not chanting "Let's go Islanders" or "Thank you Islanders." They're chanting Matthew Schaefer. I think that should be a telling moment to a lot of people that wow, this guy is really special. And it would be a real crime to not hasten the path in which this team becomes very good to capitalize on his specialness. So that was a very long soliloquy by me. But what'd you make of this game? I don't think it was probably much. You probably have stopped thinking about it. But it was an appropriately shitty way for this season to end, I think, in a shitty, anemic loss to this team that, has been the Islanders' boogeyman for the last few years.
It was, and I think that the most important thing was what you said at the end there about Schaefer and the team, and the fans. And I really wondered if we talk on Weird Islanders all the time about how what would Justin Papineau thinks. Does he think he has an Islanders legacy? Does he know how he would be received and how many people would recognize him? Does Cliff Ronning know that if he came to a game at UBS Arena, a lot of people would be like, "Oh man, that was so fucking cool when you were a New York Islander," right? That's a big kind of part of the theme of that show. And I wonder if the team, the people who are running it, the people who are pulling the purse strings more than anything, if they thought what their thoughts are, what they thought that the fans thought about this season. Was it, where did they think, oh man, maybe these guys will show, we know how disconnected even people inside hockey media could be from fans, right? Though, as we found out with the old boo and then clap, that is always bandied about by media members. But, and people on the business side can be too, because they're running a business. They're not running a hockey team. Their fans are customers to them. They're not fans. They're not fanatics. And I really wondered when I heard about the Schaefer stuff at the Schaefer channel, I was like, I wondered if the Islanders brass thought that this fan base was going to be give them the old thanks for giving it the college try send off. Right. You'll see teams get it the end of a first round. Maybe the Sabres will get it if they lose in round one to the Bruins, right? At home. The Sabres fans will probably clap them off the ice as a show of appreciation. And you'll see that sometimes with teams that the Sharks, I'm sure got it, if they finished at home. I don't know if they did, but teams like that, they come up short. I really was wondering if they thought that was going to be the vibe in the building that night. But it showed pretty quickly that it wasn't. And that it was no, we're going to show appreciation for one guy.
Right.
You said it in the beginning. We talked last week about how the Islanders showed who they were right away this season again. And you had a line in that I forgot to bring up, which was you wanted the Islanders to get Schaeferized, the rest of the players to get Schaeferized. They didn't, but Matthew Schaefer got even more Schaeferized throughout the season. And Islander fans, they showed the appreciation for that. And I was wondered if anybody kind of picks up on that. It's they're happy about this one guy here, but there's a lot of other stuff that I think Islander fans are probably not too thrilled with the way we're running things right now. So that was really it. That was the only takeaway. I was so happy when it ended, and then I realized that there were still 2 more nights of regular season hockey left.
Yeah, right. I was surprised too. Yeah. I was all right, so I guess Wednesday is the last one. And I was wait, why are people still playing on Thursday?
No, I know. But so afterwards, I was like, oh, they'll probably have the the exit interviews on Thursday,
right?
But it seems like a lot of teams including the Leafs. And as if you're wondering if we're there, there was a lot of Leaf stuff that came out in between our last episode of this one. We're gonna get to it, I promise.
Yes.
We can't. It's gonna need a lot more time than we'd be allotted to if we're gonna also talk about the New York Islanders on our New York Islanders podcast. So we'll get to that eventually, I promise. But it seemed like a lot of the teams that got eliminated were decided this year. We're just gonna get the exit interviews over, like breakdown day, and these guys don't want to see Luke Fox jukebox any longer than they have to. And the Islanders took that course too. So like I was surprised that I was like, wait, they're doing this now, and yeah, and I thought it was funny. Like I guess because they got eliminated a few days before, it wasn't like they got eliminated the night before and then did the breakdown day. But I was like, these guys don't look too mad. Some did, right. But I'm like, I'm pretty. If you did a locker room breakdown day, I mean, we do on our podcast, I guess, but with a lot of Islander fans, I don't think it'd be as and I get and I know that these things are always like this, but I would have been flipping over a few tables instead.
Yeah. The demeanor of some of the players was a little bit weird. Most of them were, cordial, fine, smiling. Yeah, it's okay. They all got asked, any bumps and bruises, any health, and they're all like, no, I'm fine, I'm good. Normal off season. The three that I thought showed the most seemed the most upset, I should say. One was Matt Barzal, one was Anders Lee, and one was David Riddick. Like Riddick seemed like the most pissed off. Like he was like that wasn't good enough. That wasn't good. Like it was really weird for a guy who's got this reputation as being like sort of a fun dude. He was pretty pissed off. The most of them, the Barzal seemed pretty, disappointed. It was very muted from him. And Lee, he got all the captainy questions, and obviously he got a lot of contract questions which you can't answer. And I've been saying the whole time I just assume he's going to resign here. So, but they seem to be like genuinely pretty pissed off at how things went. Everybody else was just sort of either very, very monotone as normal, like Bo Horvat just sounded like every other Bo Horvat post-game thing. And some guys just, Kyle McLean was smiling, and Mayfield, I think, was smiling. And I was like, guys, really? The one guy who was smiling, and I'll let him smile about it, was Matthew Schaefer, who had the second longest one. I think he had the longest one that wasn't Matthew Darche. And he was wearing a hoodie with the hood over his head, which is now my avatar on Blue Sky. Because to me, that sums up the season. Just like it was one of the few times he wasn't smiling. His very grim face with the hood on. And like, his thing was pretty cool. But, he was very appreciative of the whole season. He loves the Islanders and all that stuff. Great, great energy from him as always. But I'm saying this right now, and I want you and all the people that listen to this show to hear what I'm about to say right now. When we get to next season, the first reporter that asks Matthew Schaefer about living with Matt and Sydney Martin and their lovely kids is officially dead to me. I will never read a single thing from that person for the rest of that season. It's a great story. It's very cute. The videos with Schaefer and the kids are really cute. I'm sure it's a great place for him to be in his regular season. We have heard enough. It's enough. He got more questions about living with Matt Martin than he did about the season that just passed. And it's like, okay, we get it. He lives with Matt Martin. It's great. That's enough. It's enough. Like we can move on now from this very lovely, cute story that has overstayed its welcome by at least 3 weeks. And now, in fairness, I was still pretty pissed off that the season was over, so that might have something to do with it. But, I'm pulling the Austin Matthews card. You only get a couple more weeks of this, and then we got to move on, I totally get where Austin Matthews was coming from when it came to the Mitch Marner questions. But I don't know, did anybody stand out to you from the we'll talk about Darche after this, but did any of those, interviews stand out to you in any particular way, good or bad?
No, and I was hoping to see like a little bit more just like anger, and like I said, I get like they had been eliminated a few nights before, so maybe that's why. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Lee said something to that effect too.
Yeah. But I was just I was still so steaming mad, and like I didn't want to see the Islanders logo or orange and blue and I still don't. Like I don't want to wear any of my Islanders stuff or anything like that because I'm still so upset. The Schaefer thing reminded me of a couple of like 2 weeks ago, I was picking up sushi for dinner for my family, and I was just like walking through a part of Rockville Center to get it, and I was wearing a hoodie, like a hooded sweatshirt and a hood, and I realized as I was crossing the street, I was like, I was like kind of pulling on the strings of my hood and like making it really tight around my head, and I just realized I was like, I might be a little too old now to be wearing like a hoodie, like, and with the hood up, like walking. It was like 6:00. It's a pretty nice night out. It's still bright out. It's like kids everywhere. And, you know, I was like, I kind of feel like I need to. I probably look like a clown. Like I need to take a look. And I wear hoodies all the time and like always have the hood up, especially because you know I'm follically challenged, so it keeps my head nice and warm. But then I saw Schaefer doing it. And I was like, oh, I definitely am too old to be wearing this hoodie. Yeah, like the way I was doing it. So, yeah, so that felt very personal to me. But yeah, I mean, I didn't take anything. I'll put it this way. I wanted to take something out of it, like that would maybe help me a little bit, or at least provide like a little bit of comfort.
Right.
In this pity party, and I couldn't even find that because yeah, as you said, like Matt Barzal he's the biggest Islander fan of them all. He's gonna always be upset that the Islanders don't win the Stanley Cup, just like we are. And you know, Lee, everybody else kind of just played it the way I thought they would, or worse. And I know nobody ever does this, and we make fun of like Kipper and Bourne for breaking down these clips all the time and being like, "What did you expect them to say?" And so I guess it's a little hypocritical, but I was just hoping for one of them to be like, besides David Riddick, to be like, yeah, no, like this is like 3 out of 5 years that we're doing this now, and we got to look ourselves in the mirror and be like, maybe we're not that good, like, or we need to get good, and yeah, none of them did that. So
yeah, I will say this, but that's a perfect segue to the Matthew Darsh video because he's a guy who is under an enormous amount of pressure. We talked about him last week and the week before, I think, too. And like the amount of goodwill that he had coming into this season wasn't really that high. And then he doesn't have any more now. Like the honeymoon period is way over. It's been over for quite some time. So I didn't quite know what to expect from his presser, which is really the only one that it really kind of matters. And I found it oddly reassuring. I found the way he spoke about this season to be sort of aligned with how I thought, and I think a lot you probably thought too. Like he talked about how, first of all, he went through every single game since the Olympic break right off the top of his head, like, and why they were lost and how they were lost and what the score was and all that stuff. And at one point, and I got to shout out our buddy Joe Buono on the Quick Fix podcast and the Isles Fix newsletter. If you haven't signed up, obviously you should. Where he talked about this too, where like he said that he wanted to say we were playing well, but then he caught himself, and he said, "Yeah, we were playing what we were getting results," is what he said, which is a kind way of saying we were winning games that maybe we shouldn't have been winning. And we all know what that means. Sorokin was standing on his head. Schaefer was doing crazy things. Team was winning in overtime after, giving up a bunch of goals. And so that made me think, oh, maybe he gets it. Maybe he understands. And that's kind of the missing link as to why he fired Patrick Waugh when he did, to get Peter DeBoer in here to kind of like set things right. Not so much for this season, but going forward, that like that kind of play wasn't going to be acceptable. And I mean, we just started talking about that a while back, like for the playoffs, like you can't play like that in the playoffs or even get to the playoffs playing like that. So that made me feel a lot better. There was another thing he said. I don't know if I wrote it down, but I ended up, he basically talked about the process he went through to, make the trades that he did, getting Schenn and getting Palat and getting Soucy. And it sounded like, he had heard the online chatter, and it sounded like somebody, maybe he has a burner account like Lou Lamoriello we know did. Maybe somebody told him, like, people out here are talking about how Schenn and Palat and Soucy have basically cost you guys a playoff spot. And he wanted to make it very clear that it's not on those guys. Those guys aren't the reason they didn't make the playoffs. He's like, we went through a process and those were the guys that we came out with, and we thought that the prices were okay, and we got them for this, that, and the other reason. And in fact, when he talked about Shen, he talked about getting Shen because they needed to play better defense. And I thought that was a little strange because like nobody thinks of like Braden Shen as like a great defensive. He's not like a Selke Trophy nominee or anything like that. So I thought that was a little bit weird. But he just wanted to make people know that it wasn't like that we just picked these guys' names out of a hat. Like we went through a process, and these were the way, this is how it came out. And so don't blame them for not making the playoffs. There's a lot of reasons why, we just weren't good enough. This game, and that's when he started kind of going into like all the ways the games were lost. And so I thought it was pretty illuminating. And I get it if people don't. Matthew Darche is the last guy a lot of people want to hear from. I totally understand that, but he was the one I was looking forward to the most. And I came away with a few nuggets that I thought were interesting. Maybe it was just me overreading into stuff, but it made me feel a little bit better that he almost was like, okay, that was that. We tried to do it this way. Now we're not doing it that way. And that led into when I listened to the Tri-State Hockey Podcast, and Art mentioned all the partial no moves and all that kind of stuff. So I started thinking, okay, maybe there's a chance that there's enough changes next year that this team is appreciably very, considerably different, and this kind of situation can be avoided. And we can get back to, trying to win games like in a meaningful way, as opposed to what they've been doing the last 2 years, which is kind of just, I don't know, skating around, trying to do stuff, which is, I guess, is really the only way to put it. So I don't know. Did you, I mean, I guess you didn't feel the same way about Darche's thing if you didn't really come away with a whole lot of, you didn't come away with a hope for the future. I guess you didn't feel Darche's press conference went the same way I did.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I did. I don't say like the reasons I'm hopeful for the Islanders were not things that he talked about. Like, I'm very excited to see and to think about and I'm excited to get excited about Peter DeBoer being their head coach.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously getting excited about year 2 of Schaefer, and if Sorokin can build on what he did, and maybe, some of like the Isaiah George, Kishon Aitchisons, the Victor Eklunds. Like, I'm excited to get excited about that stuff for sure. It's funny, the way I was listening to that podcast, I'm like, I feel like he's sort of telling on himself a little bit here. And because like he I think in today's day and age, especially with the fan base like the Islanders, where you're the kind of the window between the team and like the team officials and the fans is like as thin as it gets in all professional sports, right? Like it's a team that is just kind of part of the community. It's closer to a high school football team than it is a professional sports team in the way it's like supported, and the way that fans, I think, support it. And I say that as a good thing. Like, I think that's it's very different from a lot of professional sports teams in that regard. So I think it's really easy for the fan sentiment to seep into the walls, and it's pretty hard to ignore. And you kind of have to be a Lou Lamoriello type to be able to put up those to thicken that window, to put up the walls around the fortress and be like, we just don't care, basically. And I don't think that Darche and this regime really feels that way. I think and part of it is good that they care a lot what fans think, and sometimes it's bad, but I think that's kind of that's the first thought I had coming in. I was like, oh wow, like this guy must be listening to all these podcasts and be like, I just want to address a couple things about the Andre Palat and Carson Soucy trades.
Yeah.
It wasn't their fault. Like you're all saying it was. And I don't think anyone's blaming Carson Soucy and Andre Palat personally for the Islanders missing the playoffs, or Brandon Shen. I think they're saying that, well, we probably could have done better if you were going to get guys. You probably could have got better guys than the ones you did. And then he went on to like talk about like the acquisition costs for Palat was like basically nothing. And I mean, you're going to have to pay him $6 million next year. You could say that about Soucy. Go right ahead. 3rd round pick. Right. I think once again, like it's really hard to hindsight 2020 that trade. But so yeah, I felt like he almost was like, even like the thing about the results, like we were getting results, we weren't winning. Well, then you should have recognized that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Actually, and I think he said something to that effect too, where he was like, basically what we just said, which is like, we were getting results. We were second in the division. So like, I think he almost was like, what was I going to do? Like,
right.
He couldn't. And he actually also talked about this. You just reminded me too. Like, he also said, we're second in the division. We're coming close to the playoffs. You can't sell guys off at that moment when you're getting ready to go to the playoffs. Like, as far as we know, we were on our way to the playoffs. You can't just start selling guys off because that'll destroy the team morale. And he's not wrong. Like,
right. Yeah. But at the same time, like, that's not what we were asking. Like, we were saying like, hey, you should trade JG Pageau right now, because we're gonna fumble this bag. We were saying, hey, go get someone, go get Bobby McMahon, maybe, whoever it is, right? Whoever you wanted it to be, right? But they ended up kind of just getting the wrong guys, at least for this season. Who knows? Maybe Andre Palat comes back next year and is back to his old ways. I highly doubt it. But
I'm hoping he retires.
Yeah, I know. We're all hoping that it's kind of
Take your 2 cups. Go play back in Czechia if you want, please. Go sit on a beach. Whatever. You've done enough.
But I that's how I felt. I was like, I don't know. It felt very kind of awkward to me more than anything. And now he's got a lot of work to do too. Like, so that's the other thing that scares me here a bit. And I talked about it a little last week, just like how when it comes to decision time, he's not really made the right decisions more often than not. So we'll see. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, maybe draft day plus July 1st, or middle of the summer, we're like, wow, he really turned this thing around. But
the decisions are the other final thing I want to talk about, Darsh. And again, Joe mentioned this on his podcast, and to the point where he read my mind so much, I emailed him and I was like, dude, I was thinking the exact same thing. I think part of the reason that Darsh hasn't quite grasped the sort of faith of the fan base yet. And I know I'm talking generally. There's plenty of people out there that think he's doing a great job and are fully on board, and that's great. I'm just talking about like a lot, I think there's definitely a schism. You can kind of see it for sure. And I think a lot of that is due to the fact that, like, when they let Lou Lamoriello go, we all kind of thought that the next guy, at least I thought, and maybe you thought too, was the next guy would be like a kind of a more progressive thinker, like a guy who's kind of, looking at things in a different way than Lou did. And like, listen, we like a lot of stuff that Lou did. And I mean, he gave us some of the best seasons we've ever seen. So, and I think Lou in his own way is also kind of a progressive thinker, but he, at the end, he always sort of defaults to sort of the hockey man, decisions and trying to get this, that, and the other thing that, he probably did 30 years ago for the Devils. And with the exception of the Dobson trade, probably the draft, what the guys he got at the draft, a lot of the decisions that Darsh has made this year have been sort of hockey man type decisions. When you trade picks for like 30-year-old guys,
right,
to make your team better, like that's right out, not even the Lou Lamoriello playbook. That's right out of like, the Harry Sinden playbook from the 70s. Like that's the kind of things that, people have been doing in this league for till time immemorial. The guys who the awards are named after were doing that kind of shit, back in the 40s and 50s. So like, I think we all kind of thought that he would be a guy who would find different boxes to uncover and, get a guy who maybe we didn't see coming, but ends up being the right guy for the job. Again, I don't know how much input he had, but the Brandon Hagel trade for the Lightning comes to mind. Like when they traded 2 first-round picks to the Blackhawks for Brandon Hagel, he hadn't really done much, and we were like, why would you do that? Turns out Brandon Hagel is a pretty damn good player, right? And he's been a really good player for the Lightning for the last couple of years now. And so like we kind of thought, I think it would be more sort of stuff like that, and it hasn't really materialized, at least to this point. There's still plenty of time for that. Which also gets me to one other thing that I didn't bring up last week. So per Emily Kaplan of ESPN, DeBoer has 3 years left. So his contract was for the end of this year plus 3 more years. And then Darsh has 3 more years on his contract. So these guys are two basically tied together. So, they have 3 years to make this team into a Stanley Cup contender, or else they're both probably going to be out on the street. So, take that for what it's worth. But I just feel like there is time to turn this around, obviously, and time for him to remake his standing amongst the fan base. But I did think, and Joe thought that too, apparently, that like we kind of thought he would be doing things a little differently than Lou. And I'm not saying he's like Lou 2.0, which I see people saying, but these decisions have a very kind of old hockey man flavor to them that I think kind of bothers people.
They were safe, I guess is a good way to put it, right? You're very, as you said, like default kind of things. Yeah. And I think that people thought that Matthew Darche, he was billed that way to us, right? Like that's the team, because the team knew what once again talking about like this, the fan sentiment seeping into the walls, right? Like you and I, me especially, like we really liked Lou, and I was sad to see him go because of all that he'd done for the team. But for the majority of the fan base, wanted a change, and they had every right to think that way. And I think that the team obviously picked up on that. Where like they want a new, fresh voice, they want fresh ideas. We can spin a marketing angle around that, and so they marketed Matthew Darche to be this guy. Like even like the way like they would film him and like walking through like the hallways to like when he first like was hired, right? Like we get what you're trying to sell us. Like this guy, he might have even been wearing sneakers that day, right? Like Lou, I don't know if Lou Lamoriello has worn sneakers. If Lou's feet are not touching concrete, he's not wearing sneakers, right? So I get like that's probably what was sold to us. And the first, as you said, like the first trade he made, the Dobson one, felt like this is a guy who's thinking big picture and gets it, and is like, who knows how it's going to work out 5 years from now. But at first blush, like everybody was pretty happy with what happened. And so there was some like positive momentum, the free agency kind of whatever. I don't think anyone expected the Islanders. He said the right things during that too.
Right.
Where he's like, well, we're not going to like lump term on, we're going to be really careful with this stuff and term and cap and all that. And then all that kind of just went out the window when the it came decision time in the season. That's what was so confusing about it, which is felt like, yeah, man, you were kind of on the right track here. Right. And then well, I don't know what happened, but then the Palat and Soucy trade too, like they happened within 24 hours of one another.
Yeah. 2 days away apart from each other.
Yeah. So it was like you just kind of unraveled like that entire way of thinking, and once again putting the Soucy trade aside, but the Palat trade all felt very strange, and the Schenn trade. So I think that's a good point by Joe and you. It's just like, where did that all go? I thought we were supposed to be moving on to like a different sort of way of thinking, and frankly, one was required for this team because of all the contracts and the guys who've been here, and like we needed those fresh. I mean, even I'm over the moon. I'm chuffed that JG Pageau is going to be an Islander because I love JG Pageau, right? I don't ever want to see him not play for the Islanders, but even like that extension too, it was like, if now it looks like, well, that's a very Lou Lamoriello trade. Signing, right? It felt like maybe that thing has been in the drawer for 2.5 years, but and we just didn't know about it. But so it does feel I'm very confused about what like his profile is, or what he's gonna like wake up tomorrow and think like, this is what the Islanders need to do. Right. And I really wonder too, a lot about like, and I'm sure a lot of Islander fans feel this way too, is, boy, I'm always going to wake up and be grateful that the Islanders have Matthew Schaefer. The one guy who's probably more grateful than all of us is Matthew Darche, because he could be like, well, like, at least we still got this guy, right? And it gives you something to build around. But I don't know how he's going to do that. It seemed like the Schaefer loves just being surrounded by a bunch of 30-year-old dads, and if that's his thing, go for it. But if this thing was truly moving in another direction, I thought we were going to get more clues as to that, but we didn't. So it remains to be seen. And I thought, we can read into these kind of press conferences however you like, but I just was like, what is he just, I think he's like about to get, it's almost like he was writing an Athletic article and like going to give himself a grade at the end of his press conference. Be like, and Matthew Darche's first year as New York Islanders GM is a C-.
Right.
No, that's not your job. That's our we're the ones who give that grade out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, he's got time, and maybe this was maybe he thought to himself, like, look, a lot of these guys are locked in. I can't do much this year. Let's see how it goes. And then next year when, somebody's got a 15 team no trade list, I can move them to somebody else. So like Anthony Duclair is one. I think he's got he's like half the league can get traded to. Duclair next season has a 16 team no trade list. He was full no trade now. Next year, 16 teams. Pierre Engvall, I know, has a 16 team no trade list. Actually, both Shen and Palat have 16 team no trade lists. Matt Barzal, we're going to talk about him in the second half. He has now a 22 team no trade list, which opens up 9 teams or whatever it is that he can get traded to. Adam Pelech is half the league. He's got a 16 team no trade list. So I'm not saying all these guys are going to disappear tomorrow, but I'm just saying that there is a little bit more flexibility than I think a lot of us thought he had. He tried to make some trades that he thought were going to help, but it didn't really work out that way. So I might watch the presser again at some point. It's really not that long, but if you're going to watch them, if you haven't watched them, I mean, it's been a week now. So if you've watched them, if you wanted to watch them, you probably did. But if you didn't, I highly recommend Darsh, Lee and Barzal probably, Riddick, again, you could take it's pretty short. Schaefer's is fine, but it's more like vibes than anything else. He's been the same bubbly kid the whole season. So unless you're really dying for more Matt Martin content through Matthew Schaefer, I think you can probably skip that one, but it is pretty cool. So anyway, we're going to take a break now, come back on the other side and talk about a potpourri of different things, including some Bridgeport stuff, maybe a little junior playoff stuff. We're going to talk about Barzal sort of, being the sort of focal point of the zeitgeist and the scuttlebutt going on this offseason. And then we're going to talk about a very bizarre article at Newsday that in its own way, it isn't about the Islanders, but is very much about the Islanders. So meet us on the other side. Thanks.
And now a word from our sponsors.
VintageIceHockey.com. Over 100 classic hockey logos on t-shirts, jerseys, hats, mugs, and more. Long Island Ducks, Albany Riverettes, Danbury Trashers, Kentucky Thoroughblades, and so many more. Plus a full line of Islanders Anxiety merch with our portion of the sales going directly to the Center for Dementia Research. These incredible items cannot be found in stores, so shop VintageIceHockey.com today. Relax, sit back, and enjoy wine from The Pinot Project. Rosé, Pinot Grigio, or a Pinot Noir that was named a Best Buy by Wine Enthusiast magazine. These wines are delicious, affordable, and available at area wine shops and at UBS Arena. Learn more at thepinotproject.com. And please, drink responsibly.
We all have that dream trip we've been wishing we could go on, but too often life, or usually price, gets in the way. That's why Priceline is here to help you turn your dream trip into reality. With up to 60% off hotels and up to 50% off flights, you can book everything you need for your next adventure. Don't just dream about that next trip. Book it with Priceline. Download the Priceline app or visit Priceline.com and book your next trip today.
Go to your happy price, Priceline.
K-pop Demon Hunters, Haja Boys Breakfast Meal and Huntrix Meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
You don't wash your jersey during a win streak. You don't switch seats when your team's up big. And you definitely don't shave during the playoffs. When things are working, you don't change them. That's why when you drink Jägermeister, you drink it ice cold. Anything else? Well, that'd just be bad luck. Drink it cold or don't drink it at all. Jägermeister. Damn, that's cold. Drink responsibly. Jägermeister liqueur, 35% alcohol by volume. Imported by Mast Jägermeister, U.S. White Plains, New York.
No one goes to Hank's for his spreadsheets. They go for a darn good pizza. Lately, though, the shop's been quiet, so Hank decides to bring back the $1 slice. He asks Copilot in Microsoft Excel to look at his sales and costs and help him see if he can afford it. Copilot shows Hank where the money's going and which little extras make the dollar slice work. Now Hank has a line out the door. Hank makes the pizza, Copilot handles the spreadsheets. Learn more at m365copilot.com/work.
If you've got spring fever, Lowe's has the cure. During SpringFest, make your landscape stand out with 3 free bags of Miracle-Gro 3/4 cubic foot garden soil when you buy 3. Plus, get up to 40% off select major appliances to keep clothes, food, and dishes fresh all season long. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 4/22 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
A couple of things about our schedule before we get to all those topics I mentioned before. On Tuesday is going to be our mailbag episode. Our post is going to go up that morning at patreon.com/Islanders Anxiety. If you are a Country Club tier subscriber, you can ask us a question. We're going to record that night, and then the episode will come out on Wednesday. So again, that's just for Country Club tier subscribers at the Islanders Anxiety Patreon page, patreon.com/Islanders Anxiety. If you missed it last week, we put out a great new Weird Islanders, the podcast episode with Rocco from Isles House talking about Trevor Gillies. It is a bit of a companion piece to our Ty Wishart episode from a couple weeks ago. It's great. We really uncover the many, many layers of this man who at one time was considered like kind of the premier monster in the NHL. And he wasn't just that. There was a lot more going on. A very unique player that definitely wouldn't be in the NHL today. But for a time was a real folk hero and a guy that Islanders fans really rallied around, and had a minor league career that is insane on its own. So check that out. It was really, really good. Then next week we'll be back with a new episode of Anxiety as well. In a couple of weeks, we are going to start our alternating Anxiety Weird Islanders, normal sort of non-playoff season schedule, but we'll get there when we get there, and I'll mention it when we do. Okay, so let's start with, do you want to start with Barzal? You want to start with Bridgeport? Where do you want to start?
Yeah, start with Barzal.
It's taking a lot of heat.
A lot of heat,
there.
Yeah. And I think like it's like warranted, I think, in the moment, right? Like he definitely under delivered in crunch time. He made a couple of mistakes that very clearly cost the Islanders points. I mean, you can think of like 2 or 3 off the top of your head. The Tippett turnover, the Blackhawks turnover, and he had a couple other ones too. And it sucks because he was having such a good season until the stretch, and I felt that way about a few guys. I mean, Bo Horvat clearly wasn't the same player after the Olympic break. Yeah. Once again, if you're wondering why we don't want Islanders to go to the Olympics, you see why. But I do think it almost felt like it was just Barzal's turn to wear it a little bit. And as we always say, like, losing has consequences. And I would just, get ready for the discourse, because I think that's most of the discourse for this fan base is going to be centered around him and his future here. And it's shitty because, like, we all want this guy to, he's, as I always say, like, he's the biggest Islander fan of them all, and you want him to be rewarded for that, for his passion and loyalty to the fan base, and for understanding it too. Like, just he gets what it means to be an Islander, and gets why it's a great thing to play in front of fans, like, or play for fans like us. So yeah, I mean, it's tough too, because at the same time, I think you really can make an argument for both paths to you want this team to change and look different. He's the guy that can go and bring back the most, and the other one is then the other path is, well, it's really hard to replace a player like that, and a lot of teams rue those kind of trades pretty quickly. And in a weird way, like, I'd much rather Matthew Darche do something like even kind of more creative than just Matt Barzal being the guy who goes for, the Noah Dobson kind of package or whatever, like, teams were offering him. I'm sure people have called and reached out about it, but because, like, I'd much rather him see him like sell very high and someone like Emil Heineman, right? Or like that. Like, I'd much rather go that route, but I would just it's not going to go away. Like this is going to be I think one of the focal points of outside of will Lee stay or go. I think it's the Barzal trade chatter is going to be the loudest discussion.
It has been a little jarring for him to take this much heat because normally he doesn't. And again, Art, we love Art to death. He's been on a bunch of different podcasts, and he keeps saying maybe this is the season that they explore a trade for Barzal because they need to shake up the core of this roster, and he's a guy with trade options if it's there. I don't think he wants to get traded. I don't think he wants to move on from here. Like you said, I mean, he's the world's biggest Islanders fan. He wants to be here. He loves playing for the Islanders. And so I see that, but at the same time, there's something has to give. This is now, again, 5 years, 3 playoffs, barely a dent in the other 2 years. It's just something needs to change. And I said this a couple of weeks ago. To me, the solution is finding Barzal a guy who can be his running mate, a guy whose only job is to get open and watch Barzal and be ready when the pass comes. I wish I could go back in time and bring back Phil Kessel to play for the Islanders, because he would be wouldn't he be the perfect guy to play with Barzal? Like he's just hanging around and he finds space, and Barzal's doing his dipsy doodle tour around the zone, and there's Phil, and he's got the puck and he just scores. Like that to me is the solution. I thought it would be Anthony Duclair. It hasn't been. Now they want to move Barzal back to center, and I'm getting like Josh Bailey vibes here. Like, obviously Bailey was a lot younger when they kept doing this, but like they kept changing his position, and it took him a while to kind of find a spot, and it ended up being on the wing, which is not where he started. So, I'm looking at evolving hockey, and in the last 10 games of the season, Schaefer was the number 1 scorer with 9 points. He had 2 goals and 4 assists, and 2 goals and 7 assists. Horvat had 2 goals and 6 assists for 8 points. Barzal in the last 10 games of the season had 7 points with 1 goal and 6 assists. But like, that's all at even strength. If you go on the power play, those numbers are atrocious. In the last 10 games, only 2 guys scored on the power play. It was Richie and Schaefer. That was it. Those are the only 2 goal scorers in 10 games on the power play. No Barzal, no Horvat. They each had a couple of assists, but that's it. Like, something has to happen where this team learns to score consistently. And Barzal is constantly trying to do too much. He's a unique player. What they need to do for the first time in his history here, find out how to harness it the best so that he is not only doing things that are spectacular, but helping the team win. Mm-hmm. His partnership with Jordan Eberle, I think, was perfect for him. And he just, they would play off each other, and it worked. And they went to 2 straight semifinals. It just, he hasn't had that guy. I don't know if that guy exists or who that guy even is. But to me, that's the answer. I don't want to trade him either, because I don't think you're going to get back anything that's, I've seen like, oh, well, they could trade him to Jeff Merrick was like, oh, he played in Seattle. They could trade him there. Who the fuck from Seattle? Name me 7 guys from the Seattle Kraken that you would trade for Matt Barzal. I don't want any of them. Keep them all. Like, what? I'd rather keep Barzal. Like, fine. Or the Canucks. Oh, he grew up, rooting for the Canucks. Okay, great. I don't want any of those guys.
Right.
They stink. They're the worst team in the league. So I don't know. To me, the solution is to augment and, help Barzal rather than just be like, yeah, we can get a lot for this guy. Because I'm sure they could, but I don't want to see that happen. So I don't know. Yeah. It's weird.
And the Eberle thing gives me like confidence that there play you could play with him. Like it's not an impossible thing. No. Yeah. And I mean, him and Horvat clicked for a long time, but I think now everyone just realizes to have a balanced lineup, you just need to kind of, for at least chunks of the season, those 2 guys are going to have to be separated, and you can do the whole, end of the period super line thing that coaches do. But yeah, it's almost feels like it's one or the other, right? If you're going to keep him, you need to supplement the roster with this kind of player, or otherwise it makes sense to then you do explore that option, and nobody wants to see it because he's our guy, and it would suck to see him, rooting for the Islanders as a member of the Minnesota Wild, right? That's not what we want. So, yeah, this is why losing sucks, right? I wish that we were just, the watching our team playing tonight rather than thinking about what are they going to do with Matt Barzal, because it's only April. So we've got 5 months to think about this, or however long it takes. So that's what's killing me here, is that we're already doing this again. And this is now like, as you said, 3 and 5 that we're going through this. And there's no like clear cut answers. The Islanders for 7-8 years now have kind of just been, well, what can they do? The GM's job this summer is to like get players off this roster, and that's going to be easier said than done. Whereas other teams are like, we need to find a way to get people here. Islanders are like, we got too many guys again. How is this happening? and it's a unique situation. And a lot of times when that happens, when there's too many cooks, a guy, that you have to make a hard decision, like trading Devon Taves or something like that. So that's what is scaring me here. And once again, the GM hasn't really shown us much to just be like confident and be like, he'll handle it. He knows he's like, Julian Breezebra or whatever. So like chances are he's gonna knock it out of the park, whatever decision he's gonna make. Like when Breezebra traded Mikhail Sergachev and got JJ Moser back. Like I don't know if I feel as confident in this guy that he's going to be able to swing a deal like that for someone like Matt Barzal. So yeah, we'll see. But it's just, I don't, as we said last week or the week before, and Nick Kyprios always says, we've solved nothing.
Yeah.
But but just more that, you're just gonna have to be prepared for this now for months on end. And after everyone sinks their teeth into Barzal, I think they'll go on to the next one. Maybe it's Pelech. I think Pelech and Barzal are going to be the two guys that everyone thinks are most likely to move, because the Islanders can get value back. But
the only guy who is going to get no criticism at all is Matthew Schaefer.
Right.
Rightfully so. It's like, we can, I'm sure there's something you can nitpick, but don't. It's fine. Just let him be his thing. Sorokin would be number 2. If anything, you hear like he got worn down at the end of the season, which is also probably correct, but what he was doing beforehand was superhuman. Everybody else is open, very, very open for criticism. So I think that's all probably warranted. But yeah, we'll have to see. And this episode, especially, we will have solved nothing because it's just been one stream of consciousness, kind of rambling thing for quite some time now. But let's focus in on a couple of other things here before we wrap this up. Very quickly, down in Bridgeport, the Bridgeport Islanders, of course, locked in a playoff seat a while back. And after the season, the Islanders sent Cal Ritchie and who else? They sent some other guys down there. Oh, Liam Foudy got sent back. Victor Eklund went back down as well, scored a goal immediately in the game he played right after that. And another interesting player was sent down to Bridgeport, and that is Semyon Varlamov, who, after surgeries on both knees, has been able to come back and play. He won both games that he played this weekend. If you could go to Isles in the Sound, the newsletter that covers the Bridgeport Islanders, they talk about after 2 knee surgeries, the veteran goalie delivers back-to-back wins over the Hartford Wolfpack and Hershey Bears. He will not play in the playoffs because he wasn't on the reserve list before, at their trade deadline in the AHL. But this is still just great to seeing Varley back. Hopefully that means he could be their backup goalie next year. I don't know what that's going to mean. Riddick was only on a 1-year deal, and for 2 months he looked great, and then for the rest of the season he did not. Personality wise, he fits right in. He was a really cool guy to have around, but I think they'd rather have Varlamov. But these are probably the only 2 games he's going to get in before he's going to have to go on break like the rest of the Islanders. But it was really cool to see. He played really, really well in both of those games. And again, also from one of our Patreon chats, Jeff, who runs the Isles Meetup Pittsburgh group, suggested Varley be our Viam Cyborg of the week. And you know what, Jeff? That's a perfect idea. So congratulations to Semyon Varlamov. You are the final Viam Cyborg of the week of the season for coming back. 2 knee surgeries. He's probably more of a cyborg than any other cyborgs we've had this season. But no, it was just great to see. And like I had through no fault of his own or our own, I had just kind of removed Varley from my memory banks this whole season because I was worried about other stuff. It was great to see him out there, and for him to have played well, particularly in these 2 games, is really cool. What do you make of Varlamov coming back and playing really well in 2 AHL starts? His first 2 games, and God only knows how long.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I heard him referred to as a longtime New York Islander, and I was like,
doesn't seem like it, but
no, but I'm like, but he is. He's what?
Yeah.
He's a longtime New York Islander, Semyon Varlamov. So, I was happy. I mean, I hate to think this way. I'm like, but if Varley's healthy going into the year, it looks a lot different, and maybe you get the 4 extra points, whatever they needed to get in. But yeah, I'm happy, and I'm happy that he got mentioned by Darsh in the presser. Like, yeah, he can absolutely play his way into the plans for next year. So, that'd be great as well. He definitely is owed at least that opportunity by the Islanders to like show up and see if he can get back out there at training camp, and I look forward to it. We'll all be rooting for him.
Yeah,
for sure. Obviously the Islanders will want to go out and get another, or bring it, whether it's Big Save Dave or someone else. I don't know how I feel about that right now, but they'll certainly, that's part of the shopping list in the summer. But feels the vibes feel as good as they've been in Bridgeport for so long, and it feels, and that really sucks because it just so I feel.
When was the last time the vibes in Bridgeport were super high, and the vibes on Long Island were not?
Right.
It feels like never.
Right. And that's and of course now the team gets taken from them, so that's shitty, and hopefully they do something silly and win the Calder Cup for them in the last year. But
you know what? They got Cal Ritchie now. Like they sent Cal Ritchie, who had a terrific rookie season in the NHL. So like, if I'm another one of those AHL teams, I'm like, holy shit!
Right,
these guys just got a lot better.
Right, and there's some guys who are scoring the lights out down there. The Islanders called up Liam Foudy for the last game. I think as like a reward for whatever job done. But like they probably should have given some. I think maybe a miss from Darsh this season was like not giving a guy like Adam Beckman or Foudy earlier, or these guys who were rolling down there a look. To like come in, hey, we got this Kyle McLean guy, go try to take his spot, know, and they just never really did that. So, but now they're all down there, and who knows, like maybe this is like a big step in the right direction for the Islanders under the surface, where they get they are able to unearth these guys who come through, and like the Syracuse Crunch and the Hershey Bear kind of guys. And I feel more confident about that than I have in years when we're like, how's Matt Maggio or William Dufour? Oh no, they're not doing good, are they? They're they lead the team in scoring with 11 in 37 games.
And I'll say this too, just bringing it back to our Darsh discussion before, like if the Bridgeport team like has a really good season, maybe they win the Calder Cup or go to the Calder Cup finals or go to the semifinals or whatever, and like that sets a precedent going forward for the AHL affiliate. I feel like that would be a feather in Darsh's cap. Like I feel like you're right. I mean, they could have. Adam Beckman had a great season down in Bridgeport. Actually, he came over in that trade from I think the St. Louis organization, and he had like a 40-goal season this year. So like that's really good. And it would, maybe the Islanders could have used him, but at the same time, if they kept him down there and like it ends up being a boon to the affiliate program, and then they keep rolling from there, that could end up, being helpful to the Islanders, going forward in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he does. I guess that's a good thing to point out. It's like some credit due for the Bridgeport turnaround and the excitement there. Although it will now be in Hamilton, but it's
that is an unfortunate side effect. But very quickly before we get on to our final topic, so I got the Sabres Bruins game on here, and the Bruins were up 2-0. The Sabres scored a bunch of goals in the third period. They're about to win 4-2, unless the Bruins score here. And when the Sabres went up 3-2, they showed a shot of like the outside of the arena, and let me just tell you, it was a tarps off bonanza. I don't know I think the tarps came off at that moment. Guys were knocking down barricades. It looked like it looked like a lot of fun. I got
a lot of William Nylanders. There were a lot of William.
Yeah. I didn't see anybody look like William Nylander in that crowd, but they definitely had the tarps off. So I hate that Luke Fox Jukebox has now made me aware of this. I see it everywhere now. So there you go. Okay. Final thing we want to talk about is an article that I don't know, we kind of found a little funny. If you listen to the show a lot, you know that a frequent punchline of ours has been about Belmont Park Village, the retail mall outside of UBS Arena that I can't afford anything in, you can't afford anything in, and probably nobody listening to this can afford anything in. Listen, that's cool. Like, there's cool that these shops are here for people to come and enjoy some of the high end, retailers from around the globe. I'm happier at a mall that has like, GameStop or that kind of thing going on in there, but Auntie Anne's pretzels perhaps. But there was an article in Newsday from the 17th, so a couple of days ago, it was by Tori Parrish, about Belmont Park Village retail tenancy. Belmont Park Village retail tenancy only at 25%, about 18 months after construction finished. So, which means is the stores are only about 25% full, and so there's not a ton of walking traffic, not a ton of people buying stuff. People are like, why is this here in the middle of a suburb with, all these fancy schmancy stores? And I don't know. I just found it very funny that, this person's like, it's close to home and they like to stroll along the roads, perhaps get lunch, visit Lululemon. Okay. I just wish it had more stores, more affordable stores. Yeah. Lululemon, definitely not an affordable store, but this, I don't know, feels a little, the Bruins did score, so it's going to be 4-3. This does feel a little bit emblematic of sort of how ownership views the Islanders and where their priorities have lied so far, and that they've put a lot of effort into this. I'm sure in their world, these stores and a retail village like this is a big deal. But in terms of like Islanders fans and getting people to UBS Arena, I don't think this is what people want. Same with the influencers that they invite to these games. Same with, all kinds of like collaborations, the Hello Kitty collaboration, all this kind of stuff. I just feel like this is for some other group of people that's not us. But I don't know this was, you sent this to me. I mean, obviously I had seen it before as well. Other people had sent it to me, but what'd you make of this article? Belmont Park Village and its existence, as kind of a side story to what the Islanders are doing just on the other side of the Cross Island Parkway.
I loved the opening. The lead is so good. On a recent Sunday, Laura Williams of Valley Stream was among dozens of shoppers. Like I just love the word dozens there. Does a lot of
right,
a lot of work. But and it's frustrating because I mean, obviously this is all part of the team building the arena. Like, right. I don't think Scott Malkin was buying the Islanders unless he gets his little mall with people playing chess outside of it or whatever is going on there. I get that. But at the same time, it feels like something that if they came up to us and were like, hey, do you think this is a good idea? It's going to cost us like $6 billion or whatever it is. $600 million to build this mall. Do you think this is a good idea? And we'd be like, no, we just saved you $600 million. We'll take our 10% retainer now of the $600 million we just saved you. Because it's just under, I don't know what it is. It's completely misreading the room. And it's always frustrating to me because I think that the Islander fan base is an incredibly simple room to read. It's just a very easy room to read. And right. I know that these are two separate entities, but they're really not. And you could you can combine these forces pretty easily. Like, I'm sure a lot of teams around the NHL would love a little like walk-through plaza where they can, it doesn't have to be Islander land, but it could be both. And it could be things that kind of speak to Islander fans, and you can turn it into a place that Islander fans want to be before a game or after a game, or want to, God forbid, the Islanders are playing a game that's really important and they're at a Islander Square or something, and it's like there are those there's those opportunities, but it's feels like they kind of thought they knew better, as these people kind of always do, and I found it quite funny. Like you can't even get people to rent. You can't get there's an arena. There is a world-class, brand spanking new arena, a stone's throw over all you have to do is go under a street, basically, in a tunnel away from an arena, and you can't get stores to rent the space. It's because you probably didn't realize like what you were, who was coming, right?
Yeah.
This isn't we're not in, the Islanders don't play in Watermill or Orient Point, right? They don't play in Montauk. They play now in Elmont, and they used to play in Uniondale. And so it's just frustrating. I think it speaks to a lot of like what the things that were like, oh boy, that's not, I don't know if that's for Islander fans. And you feel for the people who have to present this kind of stuff as their job sometimes. Be like, well, I know that it's not Shannon Hogan saying go shop at Lululemon at Isles Lab, right? It's the people like, you better read this because we spent this much money on it. So yeah, it felt appropriate. It felt like an appropriate kind of bow on the season. Like, by the way, tough ending to the season. Plus, also, this isn't going well over here. So,
well, to me, the worst thing about the Belmont Village thing, and the story itself is really good. You should check it out. Definitely Google Newsday Belmont Village if you want to get there, because it's not on the Isles page. The thing to me that is the saddest of it all is, like you said, what you just said. It's right in between the tunnel. Right, there's this little tunnel that I guess it's not the Cross Island Parkway. I guess it's Hempstead Turnpike. And there's a little tunnel, and then there's Belmont Village. What has been the big knock against UBS Arena this entire time? Parking situation. The parking is too far away. If you flip-flopped Belmont Village and the Emerald Lot, how big a difference is that in terms of like fan happiness? Right? Like you put a parking lot where you can just walk underneath the little tunnel versus the parking lot that's a mile away, around the entirety of Belmont Racetrack. So I just feel like, I saw somebody say they should have just made it a parking lot. Yeah, probably. Would have been better off that way, and then changed, put the village someplace else. So I don't know. It just, there's a lot of disconnect. And, again, I know people are probably tired of hearing about Lou Lamoriello, and obviously he was here when they put the thing together, so he was probably part of that. He might be the one managing this for all we know. Right. You know what the funniest outcome of this is that right now it's 25% of the stores are filled. What if next year this time that number is 75%? And it's like, yes, thanks to the work of Lou Lamoriello, we've gotten all these high-end retailers to get all this, buy into all this real estate here at Belmont Village. So that would actually be pretty funny too. But yeah, no, I can't help but think, like, if that was a parking lot or a parking garage and there was a little tiny, quick jaunt to I honestly don't know how quick it is, but it's got to be quicker than the walk to the Emerald Lot, and obviously like that's in the train station is where it is. If they can move that closer, that would be ideal, obviously, but there's the one station that isn't always in business. Hopefully once the track is done, they can get that working all the time. But, they had options here, and I just feel like they looked a little too quickly into where to put Belmont Village without asking whether or not it needed to be there or there at all.
It exists. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They went with like the least Islanders solution to a piece of Islanders property, basically. and it's just, it's really weird to me that these two things they're just not ever in concert with one another. I feel like it's that we get the ads for it on like the broadcast every once in a while. There was even an Isles Lab pop-up, like,
yes.
So the Islanders team store there is they're only allowed there for a little while. Like, you only have 25% of the tenants in, but the Islanders can't have a presence there unless it's just for like a little while. Like,
yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it's
why
just
is there not a team store there.
I don't know. Why is it there just like not a team thing? Like, why is it there like you can do a million things Islander themed in there. Like you can have the Islanders Museum in there, right? Like you can make it a place where Islander fans don't feel like, well, that's not for us because we're not. I'm not allowed there. Like I'll get turned away. And if you put like an Islanders centric thing in that village, you'll get some Islander foot traffic, and at least maybe that dozens turns into close to 100 people are walking in Belmont Village and in due time. But yeah, it's nothing to be concerned about, at least like right now. But it's just like, it's another thing that I'm just like, oh boy, like I could, if, and this is baggage from eras gone by, but you just, when you see these kind of real estate decisions being made and they're tied to the team one way or another, you're just like, why haven't we learned? Like, as you said, like, as I said, and you said right there, the Islanders fan base is a very simple one. We just want to see the team win. Right. And we want to be able to not have to walk 15 minutes to go see the team win or lose. Right. And if you had just thought about that before, being like, well, should we put the parking lot close to the arena? Nah, make them walk. Make them walk.
Right. Yeah, no, it's all there. It's just, I don't know. I do wish that there was a lot more synergy. Like you said, the disconnect is very real. And, hopefully next year, I get it. Nobody expected the Matthew Schaefer effect, but now we've seen it. You've seen it in practice. Again, what did we say about 45 minutes ago? The season is over, and what are people chanting? Matthew Schaefer. they're not chanting "Thank you, Anders," because he might be a UFA, or "Thank you, Bo," or whatever, or "Thank you, Ilya Sorokin." They're chanting Matthew Schaefer. Like, they need to really capitalize on this, and it's got nothing to do with the retail village. That really should have been a parking lot, but what can you do? It's not our money, I guess, but hopefully they can fix these problems before the All-Star game, which is in January at UBS Arena. I'm sure that'll be a real boon
right
to the, to the retail village. That'll be a lot of fun. Real quick, you mentioned ads before. So my wife and I watch a lot of Pluto, the free TV app, because it's just sort of like background noise for us. We're now in a Hell's Kitchen phase. We've gone through a 90210 phase, a Project Runway phase. Law and Order is always a phase, but we're watching Hell's Kitchen. And it's so funny. There's like the ads are programmed in, and I've been seeing a lot of Islanders ads now. For some reason, the season's been over, and all of a sudden, I've never seen them before. Now they start popping up, and it's like Patrick Waugh saying, "We're gonna have a swagger. We're gonna go out there and a win." And they're showing Bo scoring in overtime, and Brendan is yelling and all this stuff. And I'm like, first of all, where are these ads 6 months ago? Second of all, why am I seeing them now? But then there's also these ads where they show like look-ins to like live games, and they also keep showing the Nick Ehlers goal from the Carolina game. So I have to relive the last game of the season over and over again. And it's just like the universe and Pluto TV torturing me. So I don't know, maybe I need to start watching more Netflix or something. So we'll see. I just find it very funny that
well, that's part of it, right? Yeah. Like, it's just, you're going to walk into the pain everywhere. It's just so I took a very nice initiative. We'll give them credit. Give the team credit. They've been running these like street hockey clinics. So we signed Isla up for one a few weeks ago. We've been bringing her, and we were walking to it was at Eisenhower Park, and I was walking with her to for the one this week, and she was basically just like asking me about the team, and I'm like, well, like they're not playing anymore, and she's like, well, when do they play next? And I was like, nah, well, let's not even talk about it. And during the break, we went into the team store in Northwell, and she grabbed like this like sequins jacket that I didn't even look at the price tag because I know what the number was going to, or how many digits were going to be in it. And she's like, this would be great for you to wear while you're cheering for Matthew Schaefer. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, but he's done playing now. And she's like, well, you can wear it and you can be sad about Matthew Schaefer. And I was like, okay, yeah, I don't even know if I want to come to this camp anymore, because like I'm being reminded by my daughter that the Islanders are making me miserable. And I was like, yeah, no, that's a really nice thought, Isla. Thanks. Let's get out of here, please.
Right. Oh, dude, I was settled in to watch a playoff game, and my wife was like, so the Islanders are in this? No, they're not in this. Their season ended 3 days ago. Yeah. And my sister too was like, oh, what about the Islanders? I'm like, what about them? They're done. They've been done.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So it's just, that's part of it too. That's part of the losing. Thanks. 3 and 5 that we've had to deal with these kind of moments, right? The ads, the driving down like a parkway or something and seeing like an Islanders license plate and being like, God damn it, I don't want to see that logo.
Can't help it. I guess.
Can't help it.
But that being said, the day after the Carolina game, I did wear my Islanders hat to work, and my friend Paul was there, who was listening to the show. Hey, Paul, what's going on? And we ended up taking the elevator together, and he was like, "Look at you repping the team even after they lost." I'm like, "Oh, you got to, it sucks, but you got to wear it. We deal with these guys, and maybe one day we'll do an examination on why we do that instead of just being like finding a normal outlet that doesn't make us this sad. But that will be for another time. Okay, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week, obviously, with a brand new episode. Sign up at patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety for all kinds of stuff, written, audible, chats, and otherwise. Our theme song is Morning Haze by Family Dinner. Listen to more of their music on Spotify. Read Lighthouse Hockey every single day for your most up-to-date Islanders news and discussion. Islanders Anxiety podcasts are part of the Fans First Sports Network. Find us wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Please leave us a review where you can. Shop VintageIceHockey.com. Try wines from the Pinot Project. Mike, any final thoughts on this very meandering episode? But, that's what happens when you miss the playoffs. You start thinking and dreaming and worrying and all kinds of stuff.
Yep. So get ready for a lot more of it because, there's not much that happens. We're in this like weird, it's a very strange part of the hockey experience during the first round when you're not in it because you got nothing. There's no real firm dates. There's no draft. There's no nothing to like action items. So yeah, it's going to be like this again. We'll just be ranting and raving next week and until the Islanders give us a reason to kind of actually talk about stuff that matters. We'll just talk about stuff that doesn't, like the Belmont something. Can you think of something that matters less than the Belmont Village?
as the statistics show,
has anything had a smaller impact.
Yeah. I would say the impact has been about 25% of what it's supposed to be. Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week, and hopefully we'll have some good stuff to talk about. All right, thanks a lot. Take care. Talk to you later.